Hey guys, it's Graham. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about something that's probably been on your mind. It's definitely been on mine lately, and that is, what is au pairing going to look like after COVID-19 or after the coronavirus? So if you notice right here, my lovely cat Trudy has decided to guest star in this video, and hopefully she won't cause us too many problems. But today I just want to talk about what au pairing will be like after all of this is finished, or even right now if you're looking to be an au pair just like I am. So as I'm sure you're all aware, coronavirus has completely changed everything about life, including au pairing, especially au pairing. And unfortunately, au pairs are at a huge disadvantage right now. So the au pairs that are stuck in their host country are stuck in their host country with their host kids. But people like you and I, or maybe not you, who are looking to become au pairs are suddenly going to have a much longer process, and there's a lot more confusion in the process than there was before. Like, au pairing is not already confusing enough. So today I really just want to talk about what au pairing is going to look like in the future, and please let me say this before I start this video. I am in no way an expert about this. I don't know any of these things for certain. This is just based off the research that I've done recently and my personal experience. So please do not take this as fact. This is my opinion based off the research that I've done. So like I said, there's a lot of confusion surrounding what the future of being an au pair is going to be like after the coronavirus, and I haven't really been able to find any good resources on it, so I wanted to make this video to be a resource for you guys who are looking at being an au pair, or maybe you're looking to rematch or something like that after coronavirus. So today, essentially, I'm just going to talk about next steps that you should take if you're looking to do this, or some things you should consider before you become an au pair. Unfortunately, right now, au pairs are at a disadvantage as compared to other travelers because we're not considered essential. And so we're gonna have a harder time getting visas and finding host families and things like that than maybe exchange students or even business people. It is a tricky time to be an au pair, but from the research I've been doing, I see no reason why you shouldn't consider being an au pair still and think about starting the process now, or possibly even postponing it to find a host family later. Over the past week or so, I've been in contact with several different consulates and embassies from different countries about the au pair program, trying to find out information for this video. And from what I can tell so far, no country has said that they will not accept au pairs, but they are saying that the process is perhaps going to be longer for you to get your visa. So if you are planning to be an au pair within the next year, please don't quit now, but do think about the extended process that is going to be ahead of you if you choose to become an au pair. I know this can be a very discouraging time. I had a big setback earlier this week myself. I'll tell you about it in a minute, but please try not to become discouraged. Try to be optimistic and think about the future. Au pairing is a really special thing, and some virus isn't going to stop that from moving on and stop that cultural exchange. So please try to be optimistic and just look at the bright side of things. To get into kind of the content of the video, the first thing you need to ask yourself if you're looking to become an au pair is, do you still want to do it? I understand right now is a really scary time for a lot of people, and it's very uncertain, and so you need to be asking yourself if it's worth it to become an au pair right now, and perhaps if it's meant to be this year. One thing that we do know for certain is life will be so different after coronavirus, and just our day-to-day lives will be different, so being an au pair is going to be different too. For example, Spain, my host country, has already announced several regulations for businesses and restaurants going into this next year, and so the kind of Spanish lifestyle that I know and love so much is probably going to be different. You're probably not going to see packed clubs and bars and stuff like that, tapas. Of course, it's going to be similar, but it may not be the same, and you need to determine if you still want to be an au pair, if you still want to try to go to your host country after the coronavirus. As I mentioned earlier, I had a really big setback this week. As some of you probably know, I'm planning on going back to Spain in September, and I was gonna fly down to Miami from Atlanta to apply for my visa at the 1st of June. Well, unfortunately, Spain, along with I think all of the European Union countries, are not accepting visas at least through June the 15th. They extended that deadline, so that means that I'm probably not going to be able to go to Spain at the 1st of September like I was originally planning. So there are a bunch of setbacks that are happening right now, but like I said, I'm trying to stay encouraged and positive about it, and I suggest you try to do the same. Something you should consider if you still want to do it is, can you postpone it by a year? Unfortunately, right now, information is just so scarce and everybody's kind of taking it day by day, and there's no set plan for the au pair program for many countries, or for any country yet. I think France is kind of ahead of the curve. They've extended au pair visas for 6 months, as the US and the UK has, but really no country has said what they're going to do about the au pair program for the coming year. So you should ask yourself, should I postpone my stay for a year if that's worth it to you? Or should you perhaps pursue other options until au pairing is a bit simpler? In my case, I've decided to do my au pair year before finishing college. I'm finishing up my 2nd year of college right now. So before I finish my bachelor's program, I want to do my au pair year. And so for me, it's not really worth it to wait and do it after my bachelor's program, because that's just something that I've decided for myself. So you need to decide something like that too, if it's worth it for you, and if it's not, what you could do in exchange. If you've determined that you still want to do it, now you need to start contacting the immigration authority of your host country. So I did a lot of this last week. Like I said, I contacted Austria, Germany, Italy, Spain, France, Australia. I just sent out a whole bunch of emails to embassies asking about the au pair program, and I've heard back from almost everyone so far. But you need to get in touch with the host country and find out what au pairing looks like in the future. I'll just tell you, all the European Union countries told me the same thing. Through June the 15th, they're not issuing visas, and I need to email them back on June the 15th. Keep that in mind if you're watching this relatively recently after I produce it. Today's May the 18th. That June the 15th is the very earliest that Europe, or some countries in Europe, will start issuing the au pair visa again. But keep in contact with your host country's immigration authority, their foreign office, whatever it's called in that particular country, and keep up to date on what the policy is on au pairs. I would also frequently check their website and social media to see if they posted updates, but the biggest thing here is send them an email or call. Most embassies prefer emails, and just ask what they're doing and what the future looks like. This past week, I've had great success with people sending me back emails really quickly, and they've all been very helpful. So I suggest you do the same and kind of find out the information for yourself and for your particular situation. The big thing that I have to say here is, don't plan too far in advance. I know it's tempting to say, oh, well, this whole next year I'm gonna be in France or be in Spain or wherever, but try not to plan too far in advance, because nothing is set in stone right now. As I'm sure you know, the situation is changing every single day, and it seems like it's completely different this month than it was last month. So don't set things in stone. Don't commit to too much before you know what you can and cannot do. So in my case, I work as a photographer here in the US. Here's my camera. Here's one of my cameras. And I'm not booking any sessions past September the 1st, hoping that I'll be able to go to Spain by then. So don't give yourself too many commitments, or don't close any doors that could lead to other things. Try to be fluid and just take it day by day. So if you've determined that you still want to be an au pair, and if you've contacted the embassy regardless of what they tell you, now's probably the time that you should start looking for a host family if you haven't already found one. So in my case, I've already found a host family from before Corona happened, but I've heard from au pairs that they're having a really hard time finding host families right now for the same reason. Everything is just so unknown, and host families are a little bit worried about committing to having an au pair without knowing if it's possible yet. But I do suggest you go ahead and start looking for host families for the future, and be very upfront with them about what you're wanting, and understand that the situation changes so frequently. So don't get your heart set on any one thing. Try to be open-minded when looking for a host family. You should plan for the search to take a little bit longer than it normally does, just because, like I said, a lot of host families aren't looking for au pairs right now, or they're gonna wait until their countries come up with an official au pair plan. So it may take longer to find a host family. It may take a couple of months even. So be patient and try to remember that everything is fluid right now and it's always changing. Something you should think about when looking for an au pair host family right now is, would you want to quarantine with them, or would you want to be stuck with them? So as I'm sure you know, scientists are saying that there's a possibility that the virus could return in the fall. And so consider whether you want to be stuck with this host family, if you like them that much, and talk with them about that before you commit to anything. Talk about what their plan would be, if they would want you to stay, if they would want you to go back home, working hours, all of that. Because just in case it does come back, in case there is a second wave, you want to make sure that you have a plan for it and you're not going to be left stranded. Be sure to talk with your potential host family about a potential second wave and ask what that looks like for them. And that leads me to my fourth point, which is have a plan B just in case you have to come back home or just in case there is a second wave of the coronavirus. So you're going to want to think long and hard about this one, whether you want to stay in your host country or whether your host family would even want you to stay, or whether you need to go back home to your home country. As I've said, please talk with your host family in advance about this and make sure that you're crystal clear. I just heard this week from an au pair where she had a really messy situation where her host family wanted her to stay, she wanted to go home, and so they just had like this really awkward thing, and eventually she had to like leave last minute and it was just really awkward. So be sure you talk about this beforehand with your host family. Don't get there without talking about it, just in case there is a second wave. I'm trying to be optimistic, but it is something to keep in mind. Another little point with this is make sure you have enough money to purchase a plane ticket or however you get back home back to your host country. If a second wave does come and if you do decide to go back home, make sure that you're not going over there with just a tiny bit of money, or maybe even talk to some family members about loaning you a bit of money so you can buy a plane ticket back home. I've talked about this a little bit in the past, making another video about how much money you should carry to Europe with you or wherever you go, but I always suggest that you have enough money on you or in your bank account to where you could fly back home very quickly. If you do have a bad situation without coronavirus, you need to be able to go back home and get there safely and quickly. So make sure that you take enough money or at least have a plan B to get back home just in case there is a second wave, or in case, you know, things get a little bit hairy again and you just want to go back home. The last thing that I have to say about looking for a host family or au pairing after COVID-19 is just use common sense. Don't get your heart set on any one thing, because the situation changes so quickly and we really have no idea what the future holds. Like I said, I don't know any of this to be factual. I'm just giving you my opinion. I'm just guessing. And so please use your common sense on this. If you can wait, I suggest you try to wait or just play it day by day and see where you can get. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it's been helpful. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. And if you've enjoyed it, like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be posting new videos every Monday and Thursday. Once again, thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, guys. Stay at home, and I'll see you next time. Bye.